first it starts with yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to have a lot of self-love for yourself. A strong foundation comes from um, confidence within yourself, and just a lot of trusting and loving and compromising and all the healthy traits that you need to make sure a relationship is successful. So, and you also have to be emotionally available. If you're not emotionally available um, in a relationship, then there's no foundation. Foundation um, is much like substance. You have to create these things within yourself first, and then you can bring it into a relationship next.
Those are some very good points. Do you think spirituality plays a role in relationships?
I do. For myself, I know that I've been through my fair share of relationships, and I tried to do a lot of things on my own. But I learned that I couldn't do a lot of things on my own. So I had to find something that I believed in, and whatever you believe in, you study it, you believe in it, and you follow it. And you have to have some kind of guidance in life in order for you to be successful in anything. So, you know, if I think spiritual guidance is very important to any relationship of any kind. So, um, as long as you have, that's why they have the Bible, the Quran, and all of these things for guidance. So I think, sometimes you can't call your mentor, you can't call your mother, your sister, your brother. Sometimes you need something in black and white. Even if it's just reading a book, that's spiritual guidance. So spiritual guidance is very important in a relationship.
Could you mess with somebody or build a relationship with someone who doesn't share the same spiritual values as you?
Um, I think that would be a conflict of interest. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that relationship could be successful. That's my opinion. If you have one individual to believe in one thing, and one individual will believe in another. I mean, if you guys are coming together to be one, and you guys believe in different things, there's definitely gonna be a conflict of interest.
Okay. And let's talk about accountability. Do you think, let's say, accountability and communications? I personally believe that those are two very big things that can make a relationship fail or succeed. What do you think in regards to those two things?
I think communication is very important. That's key. You have to communicate in a relationship. Um, Sometimes, based on our backgrounds and where we come from as individuals, some of us don't know how to communicate, and some of us are scared to communicate, and we run away from communication. But I think that is the pillar that keeps that's a part of the foundation is the communication. Accountability is very important in a relationship. I know for myself, I'm not a perfect person in a relationship, but I know when something goes wrong in a relationship, the first thing that I'm trying to do is trying to critique myself on what I could have done differently, what it is that, whatever part that I play, I try to look within myself, because, pointing the fingers at other people aren't going to get you anywhere, because there's only one person in this world that you can change, and that's yourself.
True.
So I think that a lot of these are behaviors that have to be learned. You have to learn communication. You have to learn accountability, and a lot of us don't. And if you don't have those things, you have no relationship, and you're just going to continue to have this vicious cycle of relationships with no accountability, with no communication, and it gets nowhere.
Right. And I definitely agree. Like, along with accountability and communication, consistency is also something that I feel like is definitely needed. A friend of mine made a very good statement the other day, and what she said was that if you have two broken people that are trying to start a relationship, you have to be open and tell that person where you're struggling, where you're broken at, so that they are aware of it prior to getting into that relationship. Because if you go into a relationship not being open about that part of you, you're getting into a failed relationship. Would you say that that's a fair statement to make?
I do. I agree. I believe that is a fair statement. I think it's brave to admit that you're broken. And that
Or,
you're
not to cut you off, or let me ask you this: do you think you should take the time to heal yourself first before entering into a relationship with somebody?
I do. I do believe that you should heal yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first before you can be with anyone. I mean, if you don't, it's just going to be disastrous.
Right.
So
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, I feel like two broken people who are still doing the work to heal themselves, not necessarily saying that they can't help each other overcome those obstacles that they've had from their past, but it's a lot more harder to sustain a better relationship when you guys are still doing the work. Like, once you do the work individually,
yes.
then it should be like unimaginable what y'all can do together. But two broken people, in my opinion, will never work. It would be a very toxic relationship.
Yes. Absolutely. Two broken people always will breed a toxic relationship. There is nothing else that can come out of that relationship but toxic.
And like, like, I've been in those situations where you have two broken people trying to fix each other, and nothing good comes out of that, because I'm telling you how to heal yourself. You're telling me how to heal myself. But individually, we need to do what we need to do to heal us first, and then come back and try to help the other person. But like you said, that's like an atomic bomb waiting to happen. And then I feel like, just being in the LGBT community, period, we are scrutinized a little bit in regards to how relationships are formed when in our part of the world, we'll say, or our part of the community rather, because it's always stated, well, lesbians do everything quick. We fall in love quick, we move in quick, this, that, and the third. Do you feel like that's a fair statement to make, or do you feel like that's a stereotype that's been put on the LGBT community?
Personally, in my opinion, I believe that heterosexuals, lesbian, gays, trans, all of us, we move too quick. We're in this this generation where it's all about instant gratification, and it's not just limited to the LGBT community. I believe it's everyone. I mean, I know people. I have straight friends who got married quick, got in a relationship quick, had babies quick. So I don't know. I do not believe that it is just limited to us. No, I do not.
And it's crazy because I feel like us being who we are, a lot of the stereotypical stuff that's being put out there isn't accurate, and I think it's more, I don't know why, but I feel like it's more focused on us because we're gay versus, when you see a heterosexual going through the same instance, it's not as much put in the limelight than it is with us. And
well, here's the thing about the world. The world is this. If somebody gets on it, let's say for instance that we're watching something on Facebook, and someone says the gay community had failed relationships, and 1 million people shared that video. Now everyone has this idea that all gay people have failed relationships, all because they saw a video, one person said it, and it's being shared 1 million times.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that's not the reality of it. You know what I mean? So,
right, and then and let's step into that for a minute. Like, people would say that lesbian relationships don't last long, especially when we get to relationships where kids are involved. What is your take on dealing with a female who is now lesbian, who has children from, let's say, a previous relationship, whether or not it's heterosexual or lesbian? How do you feel like that works? How do you feel like you can incorporate yourself into a dynamic that's already been structured, and now you're stepping into a relationship with a person who may have, let's say, 2-3 kids? How do you feel like that works within our community? Do you think that that's something that can be successful? Do you think that because I hear a lot of people say kids get confused and stuff like that when it comes to gay relationships and the kids being involved? I personally don't believe that, but I would like to hear your thoughts on it.
I think that it has been complications. I've had complications myself. But honestly, it depends on the individual because sometimes when you get in relationships, people have their own reasons why they enter relationships. You know what I'm saying? So if you have an individual who's entering this relationship maybe because they need a parent for their children or they need somebody to take care of them, then there's going to be complications. But if you have someone that's genuinely who has children that want to enter a relationship, you know what I'm saying, and they're open to a healthy relationship, I believe that in my hearts of hearts that it can be a balance. I believe I believe it can be successful. Have I really seen it be successful? No, I haven't, including myself. But I mean,
But it's possible.
it's possible, absolutely possible. But like I said, it takes work. It takes what the other person's intentions are. Things like that. There's a lot of things that factors in that kind of dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you never know, but it's definitely possible. Absolutely.
I definitely think it's possible. I definitely think that with the kids in this generation, they're so much more mature than what we were coming up. And to be quite honest, if you ask me, being a lesbian or being gay, period, these days is so much more common than it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
So my thing is that if your kids have grown up around it, then they not necessarily say that they would be better more to succeed with being around that type of relationship, but they're already groomed to it. Whereas though when you have a mother, let's say you have a mother who prior to you was dealing with a man, was in a heterosexual relationship, bringing you into a relationship where this is all brand new to, like, let's say a teenager, although they see it in school and stuff like that, it may be a little bit more hard to deal with than a kid who's grown up in that situation, their lifestyle already.
I think when you enter situations like that, I think it's the parent's responsibility to introduce it in a healthy way. You don't just push it on them. You have a conversation with them. You let them know. You reassure them that, hey, I'm still going to be here. But mommy is going to share her time with someone else. I think that it's the parent's responsibility to make sure that it's smooth. You don't allow children to make to dictate anything. You don't allow them to. I mean, they can have opinions, they can form opinions, but the parents are the pilot and the co-pilot. So it's up to them to make sure that is healthy and it's definitely possible. But it's those two individuals that have to make sure that happens in a healthy way.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree because I feel like kids these days have been given too much responsibility when it comes to, or too much say so when it comes to their parents and who they deal with. Like, I understand that a child may not like your mate, but if your child doesn't have a legitimate reason not to like the mate, then there's got to be some type of common ground, something that needs to be discussed or figured out to try to make everybody on the same page, and not necessarily say, well, my kid doesn't like you, then we can't be together, because your kid shouldn't have that ability to say that to me. Now, that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I've seen a lot of Facebook posts where it says, if my child doesn't like somebody, then we just can't date, and I think that's the most ignorant thing that an individual could say, because, you and I were having a conversation earlier, what are your valid reasons for not liking this individual? Are they hurting you? Are they, what are your reasons? So, that's why I said that overall, it's the parent's responsibility to make sure that there is smooth sailing when it comes to inviting somebody into your life, to be a part of you and your children's life. So that's a big step, but it's, the parents have a heavy responsibility to make sure that, everything runs smoothly.
I agree. Well, that was all the questions that I had for you. Was there anything that you wanted to throw out there, or any advice you wanted to give to any of the viewers looking at the video? Anything?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I'm proud of how far we have come in the LBGT community. A few months ago, I had a terrible outlook on the way that we handle relationships, because I hadn't seen any healthy relationships in the LGBT community. So lately, you know, when I've been logging on Facebook, when I've been logging on Instagram, I've been seeing a lot of weddings and families, and the dynamic looks healthy. I mean, even though looks are deceiving, it's still a great thing to see that people are getting married and they're having families, and it looks like, you know, that they have healthy relationships. So I just hope that we can continue to thrive, and we can continue to be role models to everyone, and you know, and just do the right thing, because we have a bad rep, and
We do.
and we should, but you know, let's change that, and you know, let's constantly evolve, and let's teach, and you know, let's mentor, and let's just get that information out there. We just need to come
Kill the
together.
critics and the stereotypes that we got going on.
Yeah, we need to come together and show more positive outlooks on our community. So
Agreed.
yeah,
I definitely agree with you there, and I definitely appreciate you coming out, being my first interviewer for the day on my channel. Period. All right, peoples. I will holler at y'all later. Look for another video, maybe in about a day or so.